Good morning, students. In today's class of service marketing, we'll start with a recap of all the units that we have studied, all the subject matter we have studied, because there is going to be an internal assessment, first internal assessment. So we should be aware of all the topics that we have studied. So we'll recap all the things that we have studied so that it will be helpful for your examination. And this examination is very, very important internal assessment because this marks will be added in the final exam. So let us start with the unit 1. The first topic that we are discussing in unit 1 was service. Since the name of the paper is service marketing, we should understand what is service. Service, according to the American Marketing Association, are the activities, benefits, or satisfaction which are offered for sale are provided in connection with the sale of goods. So they have said that service means the activities, the benefits, or the satisfaction that is generally offered in connection with the sale of goods. But Philip Kotler and Bloom, they have defined service as an act or performance by one party can offer to another that is essentially intangible and does not result in the ownership of anything. Its production may not be tied to a physical product. So the definition given by Philip Kotler and Bloom, it tells some of the main characteristics of services, that services are intangible and it does not result to in ownership of anything, and the production of the service may or may not be tied with a physical product. So it may be attached to a physical product or may not be attached to a physical product. It is very, very important to understand the various characteristics of the services. First is the understanding that there is a tangibility. Because services are intangible in nature, you cannot touch, feel, or see a service. And then transferability. The services cannot be transferred as compared to goods. So this is also one of the characteristics, the basis on which we can differentiate between goods and services. Then comes existence. The goods can be stored, so they are not much perishable. But the services are completely perishable in nature. They cannot be inventoried or stored. So this is also one of the ways in which we can differentiate between goods and services. So we have given a detailed explanation of what is the difference between a goods and service when it comes to physical form. Services do not have a physical form, goods have a physical production. When you see, production takes place in services simultaneously, spontaneously, whereas goods production is spread over a period of time. Similarly, delivery, you can see that the service is delivering spontaneously, but in delivery, the production and the delivery of a product is different. It can be can be scheduled. Then the demand and supply. The demand for a service is fluctuating, therefore the supply is very, very inflexible. But whereas the demand for the goods can be stabilized, therefore the supply is flexible. When come to ownership, we have already discussed that in services there is own ownership, but in goods there is ownership. Then comes to physical presence of customer. In services, the physical presence of customer is highly essential, but with the physical presence of customer is not required in case of goods. Similarly, the quality of service vary with one person and from person to person, from time to time. That is means there is a variability in service, but when it comes to goods, there is no variability and the goods are generally standardized. When it comes to customer reaction, in case of services, we can see customer reaction is spontaneous, but in case of goods, the customer reaction is uh, delayed. Similarly, repair, replacement, you can see that repair is impossible and replacement is impossible. In case of services is very rare, but in case of goods, repair and replacement is possible. Reselling of services is not possible, whereas reselling of goods is possible. The basis of competition in case of services is personalization, but the basis of competition in case of goods is technology. Then comes to storage. The services cannot be stored and good can be stored. Forecasting, since the demand is not very fluctuating and is not stable, so we can only predict this services for a short term, but for the goods it can be short term and long term. In customer involvement comes customer involvement is more in case of services and very low in case of goods. Mass production of services is not possible, is very difficult, but mass production of goods is very, very possible. Similarly, cost allocation in case of service is very difficult to make, but cost allocation is very easy to make in case of goods. Then come to capacity. The service capacity planning is very fluctuating, it keeps on fluctuating, whereas the capacity planning in case of goods can be decided because the demand is very, very stable. And then comes to channels of distribution. The channels of distribution in case of service, the distribution channel is very, very short, whereas the distribution channel is longer in case of goods. Similarly, marketing piece, there are only traditionally 4 marketing piece for goods, but whereas additionally 3 extra marketing piece were added in case of services, and this Total marketing mix of services consists of 70. So these are the major differences between the goods and services. So the main characters of services, if you look into that, then intangibility is one of them, because services is intangible and we cannot see that. For example, when you buy a cake or a soap, you can smell, feel, or check, but when you are buying any service, you cannot be understood. Suppose you are getting a certain education from a semester from a teacher or something, the service is very very difficult to touch or feel the service. So in this way it is different. Then comes inseparability characteristics of services. The services, the production and consumption of services takes place very simultaneously, spontaneously, and they cannot be separated. So inseparability is also another characteristic of services. Then comes heterogeneity. As we have already discussed, that the same service, the quality of the service will be different from the various different from place to place, from time to time, and from person to person. So heterogeneity is also one of the characteristics of services. Then comes to perishability. We have already studied that services cannot be stored, and these are very, very perishable in nature, whereas goods are can be stored or can be inventoried. So this is another characteristics of services, if you can look into this. Then come the lack of ownership. In services there is lack of ownership, is not tied with any kind of ownership as defined by Philip Kotler and Bloom. But when it comes to service, these goods, the ownership is very very present. So lack of ownership is one of the main characteristics of services. Then comes the user participation. In finally, the user participation is very very important, because in services the production and consumption of goods takes place simultaneously, and there is inseparability between the production and consumption. So here the user or the consumer who is getting the service, his participation is very very required, because if his participation is not there, the service cannot be delivered properly. So there is the major characteristic of services. Then coming to the marketing mix. So marketing mix, traditionally, as you can see from the diagram, there were four traditional mix, from product, price, place, and promotion, and then later on people, process, and physical evidence was later added. These were added. The traditional marketing mix was made by E.J. McCarthy in 1960s, but later on by Booms and Bittner, they in 1981 they added another three piece. Product, we have understood the product is something which is a product. In case of services, the product is intangible, heterogeneous. Moreover, the production and consumption is inseparable. When it comes to price, price is the amount that the customer pays for a particular product or service. It is determined by a number of factors, but in case of service, it is very difficult to ascertain, because apart from the tangible cues, there are also intangible cues that is involved in the pricing of services. Then comes to place. Place represent a location where the product or service can be purchased. In service delivery cannot be easily separated from the production of services. It cannot be stored or transported. Thus, the location of services is very very service providers has to give to the thought where the service is to be provided. Their particular thought process has to be given, but that is not in the case of goods, because goods can be stored and can be transferred, so it is easier. Then comes promotion. Promotion of services is very difficult, because since the services are something which is not able to be seen, that is intangible in nature, it is very very difficult to communicate the advantages of the services. So there is another problem with the promotion, so that has to be done properly. So physical evidence, people, and process should be used to communicate or promote the service. Then comes the people. People are the more important factors in the service marketing mix, because these are the people who are the frontline customers, frontline employees, who will directly give the service to the um, customers. And if these people are not properly trained, and they are not recruited properly, and they do not understand the service vision or the service mission, they will not be able to give proper service delivery. So it is very required that people are the main uh, criteria that should be kept in mind, and the consumer should be in focus while providing of the services. Then come the process. Process refers to a system used to assist the organization in delivering a particular service. The process of service is crucial, because it ensures that a particular standard of service, particular level of service is already delivered to the customer. So if the process is right, we can show the various processes in order to see that the service is of good quality. Like if you can take the example of Domino's Pizza, it says as a particular process that ascertains that the pizza is delivered in 30 minutes from the order time. So this is a type of process. So this helps in understanding the customer, building a kind of quality and a perception of good service in the minds of the customers. Then comes physical evidence. Physical evidence is because very very important. It is the element of the service mix which allows the customer to make judgments on the organization. If you walk into a particular aeroplane, If you, for first thing you can see about the, you do not know how about the service will be good or bad, but when you look at the aeroplane, we look at the interiors, we look at the various staff, the stewardess, when we look at the various aerosters and the people who will be pilots, if you look at that, and all the facilities and perks that is given in the aeroplane, if you look into that, then you will be able to understand. This will kind of give a physical evidence as to how the service will be. So these are the various marketing, 7 P's of marketing mix, service marketing mix. This is very, very important. It's one of the important questions in your examinations, in your main examinations. Then comes the classification of service. We can also classify the service on the various sets. On the degree of tangibility, we can decide like divide like highly tangible service linked to a tangible goods, or tangible goods linked to a service, or highly tangible. This in which way we can divide things on the basis of skills or expertise that is required for a particular service. We can decide as professional and non-professional services. So professional service requires the people should be having any professional idea, and non-professional service means the people should may not be taken any undertaken any professional education for that, for delivering the particular service. Then coming on the basis of business operation of the service provider, it can be said as the commercial or non-profit organization. Then on the basis of type of end user, we can say it is an individual user or business to business consumer, either it is B2B or B2C. And then on the basis of the degree of regulation, we can say it is highly regulated, limited regulated, or non-regulated. Some services are very, very highly regulated, and we can say like hospitals, banks, insurance, whereas some are limited regulated like fast food services, and some things are non-regulated services like lawn care, house painting, and domestic help services. On the basis of degree of customer contact, we can again divide the services into high contact services and low contact services. Similarly, if you see the example of a high contact service, health services, teaching, counseling are high contact services, whereas lawn care, automated car wash, or ATM is a low contact service. On the basis of customer employee presence also, we can divide this services, like it is self-service or is interpersonal service, is a remote service. Example of a self-service will be an ATM, or an example of a remote service with an insurance companies. On the basis of degree of labor intensiveness required for a particular for delivery of the service, you can say people-based services or equipment-based services. In people-based services, people are used to provide the service to the customer, and the equipment-based services like ATM, where the machine is used to provide service to the customers. And finally, on the degree of involvement of the customer, we can again divide the people processing, possession processing, mental stimulus processing, and information processing. All these things, the various classification has been described in detail in the videos. You can go through that. Then comes to the origin and growth of services in India. In India, the services has grown by leap and bounds, and it varies very important now, because more than 50% of the GDP comes from the service sector. So that is why it is very, very important. The service sector is extremely important, not only because of GDP, because as of 2018, it was seen that 31.45% of India's employed population were working in service sector, and the service sector has contributed to 54.17% of the India's gross value added at current prices in 2018-19. The net exports export from April 2019 to January 2020 in services was 181.20 billion. So from these data, we can understand that the services are very, very important. Similarly, foreign equity FDI in equity flows inflows into the country on account of this service sector has been more than 60% of the total FDI that has come into India. So these are the various reasons why there is a uh, growth of service sector in India and their origin of service sector in India. And then coming to the reasons why the growth of service sector in India, because consumer affluence is increasing, since the people are able to afford a lot of having a lot of money, and able to afford a lot of services. The consumer affluence is one of the reasons for this growth of service. Similarly, the working women, since the women are working on a lot of activities like child care, fast food, personal care, financial services, these things are improving. These services are improving due to this working women. Similarly, DINGs or double income, no kids, both the people are parents are working, they students have no kids, they depend on a lot of services to make their life easier. That is also one of the reason why the services is developing and services is becoming much more popular. More leisure time is something that is very important. That is the reason people are instant this for having more leisure time. They want to go for this travel. They have various resort, hotels, entertainment industries. These are service industries are also increasing. The greater life expectancy means that proper nursing homes, medical facilities, and other kind of investment and banking facilities are always growing. Since the life expectancy is increasing, this is helping this service industries. Similarly, the number of increasing number of products, with the number of new products increasing day by day, the service associated with this particular products is also increasing. The after sale service, the AMC, these things are also increasing. So this is one of the reasons why the service is increasing in India. Similarly, the product complexity is day by day increasing. So a lot of people are there, to make you explain about how to use these services of a particular micro oven or a water purifier or computers, or you have a particular AMCs for providing these services. So this reduce this product complexity and provide convenience to the customer. That is the reason there is been increase in the growth of services. Similarly, the complexity of life has increased. The new youth, generation youth, young youth, they are also interested in a lot of fast food center, entertainment, computer, travel, pictures. So this is the reason why the service industry is also increasing. Resource scarcity and ecology is one of the reasons why the service is increasing. Similarly, the corporate crowd is increasing, and the cultural changes. These all things have collaborated and contributed to the growth of services in India. Then also the rampant migration is one of the reasons, because a lot of people are moving from semi-urban areas and urban areas. So a lot of real estate, rentals, transportation, infrastructure services are also increasing. Similarly, export potential is also increasing, because India is exporting a lot of services to the foreign countries. Outsourcing of services is there, data services, accounting services, designing services, all these health services, software services. These are all the tourism. These are all the services. This has grown because due to this export potential has increased. So these are the various reasons why the service industry in India is booming. Then coming to the significance of service and why we should understand service marketing and why service marketing is very, very important. First, it helps in building relationship with the customer. That is the why it is very important. Then it helps in assisting and affecting the customer's perception, because the services, the kind of services affects the particular perception of a consumer. Suppose consumer buys a particular product from a company, and if he get proper after sales service and warranty services, then his perception about the company increases. Similarly, involves customers' feedbacks. Customers' feedbacks are also one of the reasons why this service marketing is very, very important. And then comes to helps in differentiating the service organizations. So service marketing is important because it will help the companies to differentiate one company with another, and also offer higher customer retention, because if the services are good and the customers feel that they are at the focus and the company is focusing on their needs and wants, then they will be interested in remaining with the particular company, thereby increasing the customer retention. Similarly, the chances of repeat business is also increasing, and because of this, which the service marketing is very, very important and contribute to the overall economic growth, because the overall economic growth of the country also increases, and is a service sector is one of the major contributors to the exports and GDP of the country. That is the reason why the service marketing is very, very important, and that is the reason why we need to study service marketing. Then coming to marketing challenges in service, what are the reasons why service industry is facing problem? First is marketing of intangible services, where it's generally intangible, so it is very, very difficult to market the intangible. So the services marketing of services very, very difficult. Similarly, the competitive pricing is very, very difficult, because in servicing the pricing of a lot of things are there which are consist of intangible cues and which cannot be cost easily. So we do not know how to price the services, and due to this competitive pricing, the is very, very is one of the major challenges of service industry. Similarly, the demonstrate value. A service must demonstrate the value to the customer and prospect. The services such as accountancy, computer maintenance, insurance are essential to the efficient business, but it is very, very difficult to always demonstrate value. What is the exact amount of numerical amount of value that the consumer is getting? So that is one of the reasons why this and demonstrate values one of the reasons or challenges for the service organizations. Similarly, the extra competition from the various competitors and the differentiation, how to differentiate, since personalization is the only way we can differentiate services, one service company from the other, and we can compete with the other competitors. So differentiation is one of the reasons we have to keep on differentiating, personalizing the services. So this is also one of the major challenges. Then comes the self development cost, service development cost. So what does service development? All the cost that is involved in developing the services, that has to be taken into consideration. And the service firms cannot keep a standard service in stock or take advantage of economies of scale. That is one of the reasons. So they have to keep on customizing the service as per the customer's needs. So the service development cost keeps on changing and it's very difficult to ascertain. So this is one of the major disadvantages or one of the challenges posing to the any service company. Then coming the demonstrating trust and empathy, they have to demonstrate trust and empathy and to manage the customers. So these are also one of the main criteria why it's from the service. This forms as one of the challenges for the service industry. So this is all we have studied in unit 1. So this is what we have discussed in unit 1. Then coming to the unit 2, that which will also be coming in the internal examinations, and we have already covered this subject. First is the service product development process. So here we are trying to ascertain how we can develop a particular service or a new service. So if you look at the diagram, these are the various stages. First is the business strategy development stage, then comes this new service strategy development, then idea generation, then concept development and evaluation, then comes business analysis. These things are known as the front end planning, and this should be done step by step, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then comes the implementation stages, mainly service development and testing, market testing, commercialization, and post introduction evaluation. All these things has been explained in detail. This will write in one point. First we have to develop the business strategy. Once we have developed the business strategy, we will understand what is the new service development strategy, how the new service is overall in sync with the business strategy. So once we have the business strategy, then we have to develop the new service strategy. After this, there will be an idea generation of services. Various ways are there for generating ideas, and once we have generated idea for a services, like it can be from competitors, it can be from employees, it can be from for brainstorming, so formal brainstorming. So there are a lot of ways in which idea boxes can be done, suggestion boxes can be also put in companies in order to get more ideas. So all these things, idea generation will help in developing the service company to develop a new service idea. Once the idea has been developed or identified, those ideas, the concept will be developed and evaluation will be made to see that whether the particular service can actually, a particular idea can actually be converted into a full-fledged service. Then the business analysis part is done, whether it is cost effective, whether it can be cost effective for the company, and whether it will be profitable for the company if the company provides that service to its customers. So business analysis of that will be done. So this is the first front end planning part of the service product development process, and then comes the implementation part, where the service development and testing takes place. The service is actually developed and a full-fledged service delivery process, everything is developed and testing is done. And then after we decided and developed a particular service, there is a market testing to see that the particular audiences or the target customers for whom the service is being made, they are actually interested or to make purchases or pay money to get that, avail that service. So after market testing is successful, we can go for commercialization. You can see we can mass produce, and we can try to deliver the services in a bigger scale. And then comes post introduction and evaluation. After introducing the service into the market, after getting the feedback from the customers, if needed, we can make some changes in the service delivery process or make some changes in the service process altogether in order to make it much more leaner, much more efficient, and much more effective. So this is the complete process, and this is also one of the very important questions from our examination point of view. And then comes the second question, that we have another topic that we have discussed, that is service consumer behavior. Service consumer behavior is very, very important, because the consumer behavior in case of goods and services is different, because because the goods and services, they are different. So we have discussed the differences between the goods and services. So the consumer behavior, even though the definition will be same, there are certain peculiar characteristics in case of services. As for Blackwell and Minyard have discussed the definition of this consumer behavior, and it's a very apt definition. They have said that consumer will includes all those activities directly involved in obtaining, consuming, and disposing of products and services, including the decision processes that precede and follow these actions. So whatever activities and decisions that follows this prior or later, or pre and later, these activities, what obtaining, consume, and disposing of these products and services, all these things come under the consumer behavior. So there is a lot of factors that is influencing the consumer behavior. There are social factors like family, reference groups, roles, and status. So these are the people, those will be actually impacting this customers, because they are very close to the customer, and the customer generally depends on this reference group, family, and the roles and status in order to get the idea. So this people, this family, reference group, and the role and status, these are the social factors that impact the, or the factors that impact the consumer behavior. Then comes the cultural factors. Under the cultural factor, there is a culture, there is a subculture, and social class. So these are the things that are part of the cultural factors that impact the consumer behavior in case of services. Like if you see in a particular culture, the kind of services they require is different, and on another culture, as per the social class or per geographical location, age, gender, we can see, or any kind of religion, subcultures like religion, racial groups. So in this way, the services demanded will be different, and equally these are the reasons why these impact the consumer behavior. And apart from the cultural factor, there's a psychological factors like perception, attitude, motivation, learning, belief. So these are the factors of sub factors of this psychological factors that impact the consumer behavior. If you have a particular perception about a particular service, will be if we do not have a good perception about a particular service company, we will not be making purchases from the service company. Similarly, our attitude, our motivation, and also learning, what learning we have. If I do not have a proper experience with a particular service company, then we our learning says that that service company is not good and will not go back for repeat purchases from that service company. So the belief are also the ways in which it will impact the consumer behavior. Apart from the social, cultural, there is also psychological factors. There is personal factors like age, occupation, income, personality, lifestyle. These also impact the consumer behavior. So they part as per the age, as per the lifestyle, as per the personality, and as per the income and occupation of the people, the kind of services demanded will be different. So the consumer, this directly impacts the consumer behavior. And then comes personality. These economic factors like personal income, family income, personal consumer credit available, liquidity of cat assets, what is the amount of liquid asset that is present with the customers, and also the kind of savings they have. So these are the reasons why this will directly impact the consumer behavior. Then we have studied what is the complete distinctive pattern of consumer behavior in case of services or poor services. So these are certain important factors that should be kept in mind, because these things are very peculiar in case of services. So we'll understand one by one. Consumers generally seek more information personal from personal sources than non-personal sources in case of services. Similarly, consumer engage in more post-purchase evaluation and information seeking in case of services than case of goods. Consumers also engage in most post-purchase evaluation than pre-purchase evaluation. So once they buy the service, then they will involve more themselves with the post-purchase evaluation than pre-purchase evaluation while selecting and consuming the services. Similarly, consumer perceive greater risk while buying the services than goods. The consumers evoke set of alternatives is smaller in case of services than case of goods. So these are the very peculiar ways in which the consumer behavior of services is different. For many non-professional service, consumer evoke set of alternatives frequently. Uh, Includes self-provision of service. Suppose a lot of non-professional service like cleaning the house, we may be inclined to clean it our own on our own, and rather than keeping a maid. Similarly, positive and negative moods, emotions enhance or decrease the likelihood for the performance of a service. Similarly, moods and emotion of customers evaluation is also important, because is customer mood congruent. So if the mood of the consumer is good, they will much more be happier with the service, otherwise they will not be happy. Similarly, the greater human interaction in the service center, the more likely the consumer's evaluation of service will be impacted by the moods and emotions. Similarly, service encounters can be viewed as a role performance. Negative departures or from the script, the way the service has to be delivered, if there is a negative departure from that, then the consumer view will be different. Similarly, consumers compatibility is one of the factors, and consumers act for the success of a particular service. Consumers adopt innovations in services more slowly than they adopt innovations in case of goods. Similarly, brand switching is less frequent with services, because once they have a particular belief in a particular company, they will be coming for repeat purchases. This is so more brand switching is seen in case of products. Similarly, retaining a customer is for a particular service is easier than in case of goods. So these are the various ways in which the consumer behavior in case of services is different. So these are the distinctive ways we should understand. And then we have to understand the decision making process for services. So this is also a very important long question. So while making a decision whether to buy a service or not, there is a particular process through which the consumer goes. First, there is an awareness of need, that there should be an awareness of need. People, the consumer should feel that they need a particular service. Then after the need is triggered, Then they will go through this information search, whereby they will be defining these needs, explore the solutions, and identify alternative service suppliers. So they will try to decide which service they are going to take. Then after deciding upon the services, they'll go through this evaluation of this alternative service suppliers. So once they have decided 2 to 3 service suppliers for providers for a particular service, then they'll try to compare these alternatives based on this review documentation like brochures, websites, or consult any other people who have in family, friends, or reference groups who have already availed those services, or also they visit the service suppliers and speak to the personnel in order to get a perfect idea of how far the service will be. So these are one of the pre-purchase stage. So these are the things that will go in the mind of the customers before making a purchase of the services. Once they have decided they are going to purchase a particular service, then there will be a service encounter stage. Under this stage, what happens, request for service is generally given for the chosen supplier or initiate for self-service, and there is a service delivery takes place. So this is the service encounter stage. The consumer directly contacts the service company and comes in contact with the service personnel who will deliver the service to the consumer. And after consuming the service, there will be a post-purchase stage where the consumer, after availing the service, they will evaluate the service performance. They will see whether the service was for value for money or not, and this will decide their future intentions. If the service, if they have a very good experience with the service company, they will be sticking with the service company, or coming back for repeat purchases, and also spread a positive word of mouth. But if they are not satisfied, they will be future intentions, they will be disassociating themselves from the service company. So these are the complete long question, and we have discussed in brief. Now comes another topic in that we need to understand, that is service management triangle. Service management triangle implies to the three sides. If you look at this, these are the service management triangle. On the three sides, there is a company, service providers, and consumers. The interaction between the company, that company makes with the customers in on external marketing, that is making promises, the various advertisements, to the various brochures and other things. The company communicates to the consumers, or there's an external marketing, and make promises to the customers regarding the kind of service that they will be receiving. Then the company also, since the company can always use their own personnel, or can use service providers like subcontractors or outsourced entities to provide these services. So there must be initial communication between the company and the service provider. This will help in enabling the services, also known as internal marketing. What happens in this is that the company recruit the service providers, train them, and tell them how the services should be given, because these service providers are the face of the company, and they do not, if they do not interact properly and do not keep the promises with the customers that are already made by the company, then the brand name of the company will be hampered. So the service provider, the interaction between the service providers and the customers is known as the interactive marketing or keeping promises. So here the services providers are very, very important, because they help the company in keeping or making their promises, that whatever promises that has been made, so the service providers enable in keeping those promises. So in this way, the companies and service providers and the customers are interlinked, and there is the communication between the company and the service providers known as internal marketing or enabling promises. The interaction between the company and the customers is known as external marketing or making promises. And similarly, the interaction between the service providers and the customers is known as interactive promises or keeping promises. So this is also a very important long question that we have discussed. Please go through the video that completely describes the whole process of service management triangle. And then comes service blueprinting. Service blueprinting is very, very important. It is a visualization of the process or relationship between the people, process, and the physical uh, touch points of the company. This is very, very important, because this helps the company to understand the various fail points of the company, and a blueprint provides a graphical depiction of the whole service process. So that is the reason why the service blueprint is very important, and that's very, very proper care has to be taken in order to do the service blueprinting. There are various components of the service blueprint that is kept in mind. First is the customer actions. What is the kind of customer actions that are going to taking place? Who are the on-stage or the visible contact employees? Those will be coming directly in contact with the consumers. That is very, very important to understand. Then comes the backstage or invisible contact employees. These people will be remaining in the background or supporting this front end people or the on-stage employees, contact employees, to provide proper actions. So what will the actions of this backstage in invisible contact employees? That is also very important to understand. They are also one of the major components. Then comes the support processes. What are the various processes that is there to support this back-end people and the front-end people? These support processes should be in a proper shape, and these support processes should cover the internal services, the steps and interaction that takes place between the support and the contact employees in delivering the services to the consumers. And then comes the physical evidence. Finally, you can see that physical evidence is very important, because due to this physical evidence, the people will be inclined to come and make purchases or avail a particular service. And here in the diagram you can see that we have taken physical evidence, customer actions, employee on stage actions, contact backstage actions, and then support processes. These are the various components. So we can see here how in a pizza company this service blueprinting can be done. And similarly, there is a three lines. That's the line of interaction, line of visibility, and line of internal interaction is there. Everything here above the line of interaction, where the people front end or on stage actions, people directly contact with this consumers. And then everything above the line of visibility is something which is visible to the customers, and everything below the line of visibility is not visible. And then there is a line of internal interaction. Also, this is under this there is support processes. So these are completely behind the backstage, and they completely help in the backstage and the on-stage customer actions, on-stage actions, and help in customer actions and physical evidence. So in this way, this is a blueprint of a pizza company. So all the components and the lines are there. The line of interaction, the line of visibility, and the line of interaction is also there. So these are the various guidelines. These are the various components and the lines that should be kept in mind while designing a particular service blueprint. So this we have discussed in detail. Then comes the guideline that should be kept in mind while doing a service blueprinting. First is the decision on the companies which service process has to be blueprint, that has to be taken into consideration. Then comes determining who are the people those will be involved in the service blueprinting, because all the people, if they are involved, then it will lead to a lot of chaos. So we have to determine who are the people who will be involved in this. And then comes you have to modify the blueprinting technique as appropriate as per the requirement of the company. We have to modify this blueprinting. That is very important. Then we have to map the service as it happens. Most of the time this is very essential, because we cannot take the extraordinary situations where the services takes place, but we should always try to map the service or blueprint the service as the service takes place in the sorry as the service takes place in the most of the time. And then comes we have to understand the what are the normal disagreements that takes place between these people while blueprinting this will tell us the where are the various the fail points and where are the points where the company can improve. Be sure that the customer remains in the focus while doing the service blueprint. It's very important to see that the customer remains in the focus. If the customer does not remain in the focus, till there is no need of doing service blueprinting, because service blueprinting is done in order to remove these fail points and to deliver a proper service to the customer. So this customer should always be in focus while delivering while designing a service blueprint. Then we have to track, insight, and emerge. That will give us the paths for future action. Then we have to develop recommendation of future action based on these blueprinting goals. So whatever blueprinting goals is that, depending on that, we can make some recommendations for future actions, how we can make the service much more leaner, efficient, and productive, and effective in the future. And then if desired, this can blueprints can be used in the company in order to um, teach these people or train the employees of the organization. That is the why blueprint is very important. These are some of the reasons why the service blueprint is very important. As we can see, the service blueprint helps the organization to effectively understand the services, the resources, and the underlying processes. They help to check the logical flow of processes, how the normally the service is being delivered. The blueprint helps to understand the customer's needs and wants and impact. What is the why there is a failed impact? If there is failed, so what is the impact that's made on the customer's mind? And then they're used to isolate service system that are slow, repetitive. Those services that are very harmful for the customers or toxic to the customer, they can be removed. Similarly, any new processes or new steps can be added that is needed, that can also be added. Similarly, it helps in measuring the total cost of delivery, because the company will be understanding how what will the total cost of delivery of this service to the customers. And finally, you can also understand the cross-functional relationship in your organization and align the front end and the backstage action. So these are the various things we have discussed, and up till this much will be coming in the examination, internal examination that we are going to happen from November 2nd. So please go through this recap of the main things that we have studied. Also, you can go through the websites, YouTube, and you can go through the all the videos that has been made in this particular chapters and particular topics. So if you have any doubts, you can contact me. No need to panic. And finally, thank you for your service.